Well, hi, welcome back, everyone. I really didn't know what to do with this video. I just kind of wanted to make one. It's been one hell of a busy, past several weeks for somebody who's a debilitated chronic pain patient, walking around feeling like I have a giant hole in my chest while being stabbed in my back and electrocuted in my neck and all down my arm and numb fingers that are stiff. Just a lot of work. It's very exhausting to do simple things, let alone complicated things. I get a lot of ideas on making videos, but the muse it ebb and flows. It comes, it goes, and I move on and just constantly chasing these ideas and picking them up. So one thing I did was I posted a thing in LGBTQ Quora, and that got quite a lot of attention, a lot of traction. I thought about doing a video on that. In fact, I screen captured everything in case I wanted to. Just because it got a lot of attraction, and I thought, well, maybe this would be a good video to put out there for people to see. But that's not what this video is going to be about. I also did a lot of research into RFK Jr. because I was very curious as to why some chronic pain patients thought that RFK Jr. was somehow the savior of chronic pain patients, that he would give us our pain meds back. He is not the person to do that. He hates pharmaceutical anything. I mean, even the medications that people who are anti-opioid are okay with, he's against. It's like, I do not see him being okay with allowing chronic pain patients to have their opioid pain medications back. And, that's actually something that does need to be talked about. I haven't talked about it in a while. I wanted to stay away from it because it felt like it was becoming highly too politicized. And with a political group I don't really affiliate with, mostly right-wing and libertarian. There are some libertarian ideas that I kind of like, but I'm just too much in favor of socialism. At heart, I'm an anarchist. No hierarchy, nobody above me, that kind of thing. But I often do look at the system, the machine. I do often look at it like it's your system. It's yours. It's not mine. If I were to develop a society, I would not have done it the way that we run our country. But at the same time, I'm not an angsty teen. I'm not 20 years old. And I realized, a long time ago that if we woke up in anarchy tomorrow, it wouldn't be a good time, because people exist out there that, I am reminded of this story that broke the news. There were these guys driving on the interstate or the highway or something like that, and one of them passed the other, and their infinite wisdom decided, let's start shooting at each other. And they ended up shooting each other's daughters. One of them was, I think, now paralyzed, and the other died. And I think, was it worth it? But I also think this is why we can't have nice things. This is why if we woke up in anarchy tomorrow, it would be a bad time, is because people like that exist. They just seem to have this disconnect from their humanity and don't seem to really cherish or value human life all that much. And you kind of need that. You kind of need like some sort of communal support. But everything about it, is something that I've always found appealing. I've always had issue with authority figures. I've never liked being told what to do. I've always felt like, well, as long as I have sound mind and body, understand and commit to the whatever comes with it, like the pros, the cons, the risks, and all that, and I'm aware of it and consent to it and understand what I'm consenting to, the sacrifices, and sacrifices, and what else is it? It's risks, I guess. Everything comes with it. Everything does. So I as long as you're not hurting other people, which, I've often said in past videos, like there's only really 5 things that I'm against. And if you think about it, these are forms of authoritarianism. They're forms of somebody imposing their will on another person against their own will, and that would be murder, rape, molestation. And that includes animals and dead bodies. I don't know why I have to specify that, but apparently I do. No abuse, battery, assault, basically no violence clause. Don't be violent. There is an aspect of that where it's consensual, I guess. Like if people are in this let's fight to the death thing and they are knowingly and willingly, not coerced, participating in that, knowing that they are possibly going to die and be the loser, then I don't know if I can find a really good reason to be opposed to that. If that's the lifestyle they want to live, is by the sword, die by the sword, as long as they don't impose that upon others. I don't know that it's really wrong. I mean, that's their life. That's what they want to do. If that's what brings them a sense of self, then I don't know that I'm really opposed to it. I wouldn't participate. I don't think that's a good way to live, but I talked to somebody about that they would want to be like a gladiator back in the gladiator days or something. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess if it's consensual and it's something you want to do, I don't see why we would need to limit that. But then the 5th is don't steal or destroy other people's things. And I have had to clarify that in the past, because a lot of people presume that means that I believe in private property to corporations, and I have absolutely no respect for corporations whatsoever. I don't like them. I have never liked them. I have hated them with every fiber of my being for as long as I could pretty much remember. There's a long thought process behind as to why the people who run them tend to be very, very twisted individuals. They tend to look at people as nothing more than walking pocketbooks. They hold on to vast amounts of resources and act like because they hold on to the resources, they have some kind of justification to exploit us for it. And I think that's kind of fucked up. Like it could be better if we would excel beyond where we're at and get rid of some of these primitive notions that we have, like jealousy, possessiveness, being territorial. It takes truly an open mind to live in that world. So at some point I had to grow up and realize, well, as much as I would love to live in this idealistic anarchical world, now it wouldn't be free of problems, but as people would be free, and it isn't going to happen. So when I look at the system, I think that's your system, and I analyze it and think, well, what's the most rational, logical thing to do? And you look at countries that have mixed economies with socialism and capitalism, and it really is like having your cake and eating it too. I mean, both sides really get what they want. The free market people get what they want. The people like me, we get what we want. I fail to see how this is not a win-win situation. It seems to be very, very beneficial to societies because it offers some kind of safety net there for people. But this opioid thing, I sat down and I talked to some very far leftist family members of mine who even agreed with me that this opiate epidemic has gone too far. I have been in so much pain that I have been losing consciousness, passing out, and what's happening, to my understanding, when you have so much pain that you get dizzy and you start losing consciousness and passing out, is that the pain is causing your blood pressure, and this is cited by the CDC website. Because I looked it up, this came from the CDC. They say, "Oh, this is common for chronic pain patients." What's occurring is your blood pressure is dropping really low, and your brain is not getting the oxygen it needs to stay awake, and so you just I kind of do like this. I'm like, and until eventually it's like. And it sucks because it goes on all day. And I could get exhausted from something stupid and simple like brushing my teeth. It's like, oh my God, I got to sit down. I'm exhausted. I am wiped out. I am pooped, tired. But it was good to hear from people like they're not the type of leftist that I am. My family members. They ascribe themselves more to communism, and being the anarchist at heart that I am, I just can't subscribe to communism because I don't like the idea of the structure of the hierarchy. I don't like it. I just reject it. I'm like, no, I don't. To me, that's just replacing one system with another. I don't want this group of people telling me how to live my life. I don't want this group of people telling me how to live my life. You should live your life how you deem fit. And that even includes you Christian people out there, if that's so what you want to do, as long as you don't impose that upon other people. I don't see what the problem is. Just, don't impose it on other people. Live as you choose. Live as you please. So, a lot of the times when I do talk about politics, it's from the perspective of what is the type of system that's going to be most beneficial to humanity, that's actually within reach. And I really think that is the one. When you look at statistics, you look at life expectancy, education, how well the lowest common denominator in the society lives, they tend to be better off. So that I don't understand this sort of mentality that seems to exist in America of mine, but your friends, family, and community are supposed to take care of you. And it's like, well, that's what taking taxes out of your paycheck and going to things like the SSA is. It's you supporting your community. It's just our society has gotten so large, there's not really any other practical way to do it. It's not as cut and dry as it used to be. Like I live in a building full of people, and I have no idea who they are. I don't know their name. I have never talked to them. I talked to a few, like, for brief moments in time, but I don't know these people. This is a very large city. The city I live in is one of the, like, it's like the 30th or 31st largest city in the United States. I mean, when I worked in the service industry, I can tell you I saw new faces in a suburb. I saw new faces that I've never seen before in my life every day. And this city is huge. I don't really have a good connection with my parents, so my parents taking care of me is not an option. And it's like community, well, I don't really have that either. When my brother died, I went into a state of grieving and mourning that lasted for like 5 years. And I kind of shut myself off to the world. Like, I mean, there was nobody home. Like, I would sit on that couch and stare at the wall. TV wasn't even on, just stare at the wall all day and all night, continuously. And then I just right after my brother died, I lost the job that I had for like 15 years and then went on to another job. And just as I was starting to heal mentally from that death, I developed this chronic pain condition in the midst of actually starting this YouTube channel. You pay attention to the videos, you can start to see the progression a little bit, because the amount of videos starts to get less and less and less and less and less and less. But I'd say the quality of the content has gone up, and I've become more familiarized with what's going on in the culture and the world around me. When I started making content like this, like, because I started off making very, very strange video game videos that were very bizarre. Like, somebody told me once that they couldn't watch my video game videos because they forgot to take a hit of LSD first. I put one of them out onto Twitter one day, and this art gallery stumbled into it, and they said this is very interesting, and they dubbed it video game video art. And to this day, I have not seen a single YouTuber make anything like the video game content I used to make. I think it was very unique. I've seen some of the people in the teams that were against me in the Tomb Raider game try to emulate it, but they could never get it quite to the point where the level that I had taken it. And there was one person that I used to play with that was actually in my team, my group of friends, Jinx Squad, True Eyes, as I think we're called. And Vivian, she made this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful video where she lined up like every move, like it looked like a music video. And I took this to a completely different level. I took that idea, but I wanted to do something my own. I just wanted to twist and contort it in all kinds of ways. And it ended up looking like something you would want to watch while tripping on acid. But it was just a form of artistic creative expression to me. Like, I just wanted to make something interesting and bizarre, and I would listen to the music and let the music speak to me, and then I'd try to make the video emulate what the music was putting into my head using the visuals to mimic sort of the beats and the sound. Like I know on one of the Last of Us videos, there's this sound in one of the songs, and every time that sound happened, I made like this ripple effect appear, like a penny being dropped in water or something. But getting on the opioid subject, this has gotten really terrible. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you have experts saying that these things like Oxycontin, hydrocodone, Percocets, hell, even morphine pills are the same thing as heroin. And that's very, very dangerous. The fact of the matter is no, it's not the same as heroin. I've touched heroin in my life, and I can tell you that is a very, very, very strong drug. Very strong, very strong. That's actually one of the reasons why I refuse to touch it, is because it scares me how strong it is. It's very scary. There's a thing where it's like, if you could only do it once a month, you wouldn't get addicted to it if you did it once a month. But the question is, can you only do it once a month? And everybody thinks they can. And the thing is that it makes you feel so good. Good luck actually doing it once a month. Now, the thing with heroin is and I think it's absurd that I would have to, and none of these experts are going to see this video. But if they ever did, one thing I would say is it's really ridiculous that I would have to sit here and explain to an expert that heroin is very specifically, it's not an opiate, first of all. It's actually an opioid. It's a combination of natural and synthetic. It's morphine hydrochloride, which is very, very powerful. When you attach a chemical bond like hydrochloride to an opiate like morphine, it completely changes how it interacts with the body. Like you take a morphine pill, usually they're time released. I think the active time frame for morphine is really not even that long. I think morphine is only about 15 minutes. That's why when you are in the hospital and they put you on the hydromorphine, morphine drip in the hospital, you can only press that button once every 15 minutes. There's a reason for that. Now, heroin, you do heroin, bang it, you will be high as fuck for like 9-12 hours or something. It's really fucking high too, off of a teeny weeny little itty bitty bit, especially if you're opiate naive and you have no tolerance to it. You don't need much. Just a teensy weensy itty bitty little amount. Powerful stuff. And that's all because it's been attached. The morphine has been attached to hydrochloride. I believe it's hydrochloride. Could be wrong on that. But I do know this. The morphine that's in Oxycontin, first of all, it's synthetically made with thebaine, not morphine. Second of all, it's time released for 12 hours. It does not actually just release in your system and last for 12 hours. No, it dissipates in layers to where like you get a small dose every hour for 12 hours. But that is not morphine hydrochloride. That is just morphine made from thebaine. Not anywhere near as powerful. And I have taken Oxycontins. I've taken Percocets. I've taken morphine pills. I've had hydrocodones. I've even done Suboxone for recreational purposes, not medicinal purposes. I've had a tendency to like to taste the fruits of life, but I've never wanted to gravitate towards something for long periods of time. It's sort of taste it, okay, move on. The only substances I will really actually gravitate to is LSD, mushrooms, and marijuana. But so the thing with codeine, we can start from there. You have regular, plain, ordinary codeine, which is decent. And that actually in the early 90s was something you could even get over the counter. You just had to sign for it, like they do with Sudafed now. Codeine only lasts for 4 hours. In order to develop a chemical dependency to codeine, you would have to be taking it like pretty much every 3 hours for several days straight, nonstop. And the withdrawals to codeine aren't all that much. I mean, it's like maybe 2-3 days of a sniffly nose or some chills. The thing is that like, it's the reason why it's dangerous. Oh, wait. We got to go through the other molecular bonds. So this is just regular codeine. And then you can make the regular codeine weaker by adding a phosphate molecule to it. Codeine phosphate is so weak. You could take up to 3, 6, 9, 12, like 120 milligrams of codeine phosphate, and it feels like you just took a couple Tylenol. That's how weak codeine phosphate is. It can be very dangerous because the irony of it is the opiate within codeine phosphate is not the dangerous aspect to it. It's the acetaminophen in it, which is 500 milligrams a pill. The acetaminophen, when you take 4 of those pills to get enough codeine in you to actually manage pain, is a very large amount of acetaminophen, which is dangerous. It's about 2,000 milligrams of acetaminophen in one dose. Acetaminophen, that's the irony of that. The acetaminophen is actually more dangerous in that case than the actual opiate. And I'm sure you've had a lot of people die from doing that, not from the opiate, but from the acetaminophen. And this is something that these anti-opioid people do not take into account. Did they actually die from the opiate? Or did they die from the acetaminophen? Because a lot of people die from the acetaminophen. Acetaminophen is actually really, really toxic. It attacks your liver in like 3 different ways. The other thing I find interesting about that too, if you look at the CDC's website on how many people die per year for renal failure, it's 200,000. 200,000 people die a year from renal failure, kidney failure, and that can come from taking NSAIDs, over-the-counter pain meds. Now, here's the thing. That's a higher number than the number that's being reported from the opiate overdose deaths. And the opiate overdose deaths are not just counting illicit opiates, they are counting illicit and prescribed at the same time. And yet they still do not match the number of the amount of people who die from renal failure a year, per year. 200,000. But the other thing you can do with codeine is you can attach a hydrogen molecule, hydrocodone, to the codeine molecule, and this makes it stronger. So this is actually a much safer medication because you can take a lower dose of opiate, of codeine, and get the pain relief you're looking for without having to double up on all the acetaminophen. And again, it's codeine. It only lasts for 4 hours. After 4 hours, it's out. It's not out of you. You'll still test positive for it. It stays in, like, test positive for it, I believe, for a week, maybe 3 days. But for intents and purposes, you don't have like opiate flowing in your system. It's gone. It's out. You've peed it out. So these chemical bonds that we're putting on the opiate, they matter. They really matter. Now, here's the dangerous part is I've often thought about this, of what they've done to me personally. So I've become a chronic pain patient who's disabled. I'm getting pain so severe, I'm getting dizzy and passing out and losing consciousness. I've been abandoned medically. They won't even do a blood test on me because of this condition. I'm somehow some kind of liability, I guess. Being that I'm disabled, finding a way to work has been really difficult. Well, it's been non-existent, actually. I look at the restrictions I have and they go, no way. So it's like, and then you have to fight through the bureaucracy of the system for help, and the help is not available. You don't just get subsidized housing. You don't just get food stamps. You don't just get Medicaid, Medicare. In fact, when I was asking about financial relief for bills and whatnot, they said, we cannot help you until you've already been served with a shutdown notice or an eviction notice, which if they gave me eviction notice, I would have to vacate the premises within 48 hours. So I pretty much told the lady, I said, so you pretty much cannot help me until it's too late. And she said, yes, basically, pretty much. Now, that's a real problem, but that's the result of red taping all these social safety nets that we have because people don't want their taxes to go to them for some reason. And it's like, well, they're still taking the taxes out for them. It's just you can't utilize the system that's there. They've red taped to hell the ADA. The companies do not have to accommodate you in any way, shape, or form. Like the version of accommodation they have today from when I was in management is very, very different. Back when I was in management, it was any accommodation they needed. You just did it. It really wasn't that big of a deal. Yeah, you were paying people sometimes to just kind of stand in one place, but they had a task to do. And during peak business hours, this was perfect. And it was a win-win situation because they got a little bit of extra cash and we got a little bit of extra help during our peak periods. Only 3 hours, so if somebody's disabled, that's probably even better for them for the hours wise. Today, though, an accommodation is I have to wear knee pads or I have to wear an inhaler around my neck, which is very different than I can stand here and put sandwiches in a bag. That's a very different thing. And I found out that the reason why the ADA is like that now is because of deregulation on the market. They're saying, oh, that's big government. We can't tell businesses what to do. Sorry if you don't like how that sounds, but that's what it is. I don't know what to tell you. And the same thing with the disability. It's just all been red tape to hell. You can't, it's a stress test. It's gone out of control. The SSA says we anticipate that when you become disabled, you will be able to live off of your savings, your, whatever kind of assets you have, and help from friends and family for at least 2 years before they'll even consider approving you for disability. And it's like, so you're on the cusp of losing everything you've worked so hard in your life to get. And, it's like seeing this inevitable collapse, and it's like a slow peel. And it's like, if that's what's going to happen to me, because you're just going to keep denying me, just rip the fucking Band-Aid off and stop this slow peel shit. Just get it done and over with. And let me figure out how to collect the pieces of my life, whatever shattered from that. So you got that going on. You got the medical abandon. You got the chronic pain. You're passing out, and the doctors have turned their backs on you and said, "Sorry, don't know what to tell you." You've got the social safety net system. It's like, well, sorry, our hands are tied. Don't know what to tell you. I cannot think of a better way to set someone else or set someone up for failure than that. You've got them in a state of pain where they are losing consciousness, they're dizzy, they're passing out, they're in a lot of pain, severe pain. They cannot see a doctor. There's no financial relief. There's no relief at all. There's no security for keeping a roof over your head or the electricity running or anything. And then you got these people out there saying, oh, these pain meds are the same as heroin. Now, I know better because I've actually tasted it before. I've tried it. I've touched it. And I saw how powerful it was. And I was like, no way. I am not going near that stuff. To me, treating pain with heroin is like putting a nail into drywall with a jackhammer. It's overkill. It's too much. You don't. It'll take away your pain, but it's mostly just gonna make you high as fuck. And the thing is that if people actually believe that, the problem is they've taken an Oxycontin, like a 30 milligram Oxycontin for years for their pain, and they think, well, I've taken my Oxycontin, I've taken my hydrocodone, I've taken my Percocets, and I was fine. So if what they're saying, if it is the same as heroin, maybe I've been lied to by the government, as the government has lied about so many things. It's lied about weed. It's lied about LSD. It's lied about mushrooms. Maybe they're lying about this too. And then they go out and they do heroin and they end up dead. And putting someone in this position of medical abandonment, not only are you putting them without pain meds in a state of desperation to get their pain under control so they can function, you're also putting them in a situation where there's a sense of hopelessness. And that is another big driver to go and use drugs for escape. This has got to stop. If you walked into a heroin house with hydrocodone, with tramadol, with Darvocet, they're going to laugh at you. You are going to be seen as a square, as somebody who has no idea what the fuck they're doing. Now, if you have enough Oxycontin or Percocet, they might be interested in that. But in my experience of being around heroin users, they use Oxycontin and Percocet for their withdrawals. They do not use it to get high. That's been my experience. I have seen people take a ton of Oxycontin or Percocet, like a handful, and then they will go and still look for heroin because that handful of Oxy or Percocet or whatever, that was just to stop the withdrawals. They go back out and they look for the heroin to get high. So no, it's not the same. And I think everybody's been duped into this, and there's a lot of opiate naive people out there that are just believing this narrative. And I don't know why people are saying this. Like any heroin user out there, if you tried to tell me that pain meds set you on that path, I'm probably the wrong person to bring that to, because I will be the first to say, no, bullshit. Bullshit. I'm sorry, but bullshit. I've had pain meds prescribed to me for medical reasons, and I have taken them responsibly. I have gotten a hold of pain meds and used them recreationally. and did not use them responsibly. I've been on both sides of this coin. And no, I don't believe that for a minute. Most people that seek out something like heroin, it's because you want to get high. Now you've got millions of chronic pain patients marching to the street, not to get high, but because they're desperate for pain relief. And it's all because they've been medically abandoned. And we wonder why the overdose rates are going up. It's not surprising to me in the slightest. And hands down, let's be honest. If you were to ask, would you prefer somebody go out on the street and use illicit heroin or illicit fentanyl? Or would you rather them take an opiate or opioid that is controlled and regulated, like a Percocet or an Oxycontin or a hydrocodone? Which would you prefer them do? If they're absolutely hell-bent on using an opiate, which one would you prefer? Hands down across the board, every time people are going to answer the medication because it's controlled and regulated. We know what the dose is. It's safer. You go to the street, you can spend $20 and get a quarter gram. You could get 2 different quarter grams from 2 different people, and they'll be different strengths. They're not the same. And you cannot just use $20 in one shot. Even if you've been on Oxycontin for years, if you tried to use an entire $20 worth of black tar, you will probably overdose and die. And now it's got fentanyl in it. You will probably die. That's the reality. The other thing is to the harm reduction people, I have this to say. You want a safe supply? There has to be a pressure valve somewhere here. You want a safe supply? The pain meds were that. You got rid of the safe supply. You say, how dare anybody make money and profit off of this substance? But then you turn around and you want a medically available opiate or opioid to treat your opiate addiction. That's a double standard. That doesn't make sense. It's like you're saying, I don't want them to prescribe, a mild, stupid Oxycontin. I want them to just give me medical grade heroin in a safe injection site. You guys, that's ridiculous. And nobody wants to talk about the price of the non-opioid pain medications being much higher than opioid medications. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about that they produce a chemical dependency. And this is no laughing matter chemical dependency. These anticonvulsants, SSRIs, SNRI, tricyclics, antipsychotics, and MAOIs. It takes a long time to taper off of those medications. And they have very severe side effects sometimes that are life-threatening and long-term effects that are terminal. And, when people go into the world of heroin, illicit opiates, they're often warned, this is for life. When it comes to some of these anticonvulsants, SSRIs, SNRIs, sometimes that's literally the case. I know somebody who cannot get off of gabapentin because every time they try, they have a grand mal seizure. So we don't want to talk about that. You want to talk about what's more profitable, putting somebody on an opioid that has a withdrawal period of a week, or putting somebody on a gabapentinoid that they may never be able to get off of no matter what. Now, there is no tapering. You can taper them down to the lowest dose, but every time they stop, they end up in the ER. And that cost, well, to put in perspective, you could get a bottle of an opioid without insurance, maybe $20 to $40, depending on what it is and what brand it is. And then there's the gabapentinoids. Without insurance, they're over $1,000. And you may never be able to get off of it. You do the math. You tell me what's more profitable to the pharmaceutical companies. This is their wet dream. And it gives you underlying health conditions. So they make more money off of you, like high blood pressure. So now you got to take blood pressure medications. Oh, it gives you psychosis. Well, now we can put you on an antipsychotic. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just reality. These people are zealots. And one of the family members I spoke to is in the world of psychology. And they were saying to me, like sending these chronic pain patients to psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, they don't know what to do with us. Because we're coming in there with physical damage to our body. And it's like asking, mess with my head or something. Well, that's not your issue. Your issue is you have untreated pain. I mean, if you're getting dizzy and losing consciousness and passing out, I'm not sure that there's anything psychologically we can do for you. So while I have not sought out anything like that, I've just been suffering, really. I think a lot of people have gone to the street and died. These anti-opioid people, they are zealots. They are real pieces of shit. And I don't know how to wake America up. This is not sustainable medical practice. It's not. The medications the doctors are prescribing to pain patients are not the same thing as what's on the street market. And if we want to be anti-capitalist, well, let's talk about the street market. The street market, if you ever wanted to see a prime example of anarchical capitalism, look at the street market. There's no controls. There's no regulation. None. Not a single one. So I'm really concerned that the current model we're using is really, it's putting people into a state of hopelessness and putting them in a no-win situation while battling severe pain. And then they do these mental gymnastics to try to rationalize why they're doing that to people. I saw a YouTube video of this woman who said that the United States prescribes more medications for everything, just in general, than any other country. And she said, we need to change our view on medications. And I said, well, I doubt they read my comment, but my comment to that was, why is it that it's our perception of medications that needs to change? Maybe, we should be looking at what the root cause of why everybody's so broken, and not just physically, but mentally too, because she talked a lot about antidepressants and whatnot as well, which is one of the things they prescribe for chronic pain now, is antidepressants. Maybe we should be asking why everyone is getting so sick. the fact that we get medications when we're sick, well, that's a sign that we live in a society that cares about people who are sick. We don't want to be in a country that looks at somebody who's sick and broken and says, sorry for you, good luck, but we don't care. You don't want to live in a country like that. You don't want to live in a country that looks at you and says, oh, you're physically broken. Tough shit. Good luck. Maybe not even good luck. Just, I don't know what to tell you. We don't want to be that, do we? Maybe the reason why so many people are on medications is because our work environments are causing us to have anxiety, to have PTSD, and not be able to heal and connect to other human beings. Maybe it's our work environment that's destroying our bodies to the point where, like we're being worked to death. We have no sense of self, and so we develop a lot of mental illness. And if you can't connect yourself with your humanity, it's really hard to heal emotionally and mentally because you're isolated. This box behind me, this little entertainment box, it's approved. That is not a replacement for human interaction. It's like, it's not enough. You need to be in the same room, face to face. You could take an extremely intelligent person and put them in a room with people who are not so intelligent, and they'll be sitting in a circle talking about absolutely nothing, but they'll still be laughing and having a good time for some reason. We are a social animal. It's very important that we get connection and interaction with other people, that we're able to show vulnerability and share our pains, our joys, our pleasures, to relate and identify with each other, to give each other hugs, support each other. That's just the kind of species that we are. It's actually quite incredible what lack of human interaction can do to one's psyche. It can seriously damage you. Seriously. So no, like when I go on social media and I see like a heart or praying for you, care, it means very little to me. It's that's nice. That doesn't do anything. It would do more for somebody to actually be in my presence, face to face, having a conversation with me. I don't need 5 minutes of a conversation on the box. Having conversations over the phone and everything, that's nice. It's better to hear your voice, but still, at the end of the day, as humans, we need that connection to our humanness, our humanity. So that's what I proposed to this woman. Is, I don't know who the hell she was, but no, I don't think we need to be changing our views on medication and start saying, oh, you have a medical issue? Oh, it sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. No, if you want the number of medications to be going down, we need to be exploring what's making everybody sick. And I think if you follow that line of logic, it's going to lead to no time for friends, family, and community, and feeling like one is only allowed to live so that they can service the machine. More meat for the grinder. Because that's what it feels like everything has become. It's really sad. So I also think people need to stop being polite to these experts. Start calling them what they are. They're pieces of shit. There's no need to be cordial with these people. They're pieces of shit. Even when you are cordial with them, they still block you. So why? Why be nice? You know, like it'd be nice to see a reporter next time they talk to him say, you know, my grandma or my mom or whatever is a cancer patient and she doesn't get her pain meds because of your policies. You're a real piece of shit. You know that. You're a real piece of shit. You know, I think they're bored. I think they're bored and they don't have anything to do and they need to find something to do instead of going around telling everybody else what they think they should be doing because it's not what they would do. Like, that's nice. You don't have to do it. No one said you had to. Gabapentinoids have been around for a while. You could choose that if you want to. You could be a pain management doctor that doesn't want to prescribe opioids if you want to. But why are you imposing this onto everybody? These are medications that are very, very effective for many, many people. And they're gone. Gone. And I am stuck in an apartment, getting dizzy, passing out and losing consciousness. Shame, 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 shame. I did try a hallucinogen, and you know, I think a lot of hippie type people, they're sitting and waiting and thinking these hippie drugs, hallucinogens like mushrooms, LSD, ketamine, marijuana are these savior drugs because they don't cause addiction, which is true. But I tried this. I had to deliberately divert my mind away from this area. Otherwise, I would have hyper focused on it and then thus hyper focused on the pain. It's a disassociative trick. So you're not thinking about the pain, you're thinking about all this cool stuff around you. But by the time I was done tripping, I basically slept for like 2 days because I had moved my arm so much in ways that it can't. And I really didn't even move it that much. But I was in serious pain when it wore off. Serious pain. And I think this is not the answer. It's not the answer. It's not. I know people love to think marijuana is the answer. I wish it were. But it's not. All this nerve pain going on and atrophy and contractures. No, marijuana doesn't do much. It actually makes me hyper focus on it. So, no, that doesn't work. Might as well be open about, trying these things. I mean, it's not like I can go to a doctor. They won't even see me, so fuck it. Right? What would you do? What would you do if you were in my situation? What would you do? This has gone on for 58 minutes, so yeah. Like, share, subscribe, and comment or something. I'm